Good evening, everyone. It looks like people have filtered in that have been in the waiting room. So without further ado, we'd like to get started and welcome you to our webinar tonight on making a plan in Bannerweb for first-year registration. Thanks for joining us. My name is Kristen Ball. I'm the University Registrar, and I'm joined by colleagues from other offices in my office at the university. Andrea Vest is from the Academic Advising Resource Center. And Dr. Nicole Maurantonio is from the Academic Advising Resource Center and the Provost Office and the Department of Rhetoric and Communication Study. And then Erica Jackson is from the Registrar's Office as well. So we will be kind of facilitating. They'll be keeping an eye on the Q&A. If you do have questions as we go, please feel free to type them in the Q&A. And Erica will be going through those, and we will talk through those as we go so that they become a part of the recording. Because the webinar is being recorded, so it can be added to our New Spiders YouTube channel for others to view along the way who might not be able to join us tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in and start talking about how to make a plan in Bannerweb. Share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you're all familiar with Bannerweb. If you go to bannerweb.richmond.edu, you'll be able to log in with your NetID and your password that you have set up through our information services. And once you do, you will want to come in to the Student Services menu and then the Registration menu. And that takes you to a screen that looks like this. I will note that I am in our test system, so some things might look a little bit different, but you'll navigate the same way in the live system as you do in the test system. So what we're going to be talking about is making a plan. The first step in registration is to make a registration plan. And from that plan, my office will push 2 classes into your registration, or if you're an NCAA student athlete or a designated scholar, we'll push 4 plans. Also, if you're in Endeavor, we'll push the class that you're not getting with Endeavor. So if you're in an FYS Endeavor, we'll put a non-FYS plan or non-FYS class on your registration. If you're in a non-FYS, we'll put an FYS. So with those caveats, but most people are going to make 2 plans during this process. And to do so, you're going to want to go to the Plan Ahead feature in Bannerweb. I will say you can also look at the Browse Classes button if you want to see the classes, all of the classes that are being offered for the fall. But I'm going to be talking about making a plan tonight, and later in July, there will be a webinar and registering after we've pushed the 2 plans onto registration and before you start your self-registration later this summer. So you're going to want to click on Plan Ahead and make sure to choose Fall 2024 as the term for which you're planning. When you come into your plan, you will see 2 blank plans. I'm going to blank mine out. So you will have 2 blank plans. One is going to be called FYS and one is going to be called Fall. And you're going to want to add classes to both of those plans. Okay, so your fall and your FYS will both be blank and won't have any classes on them. A couple of notes, please make sure to not delete these plans. You want to keep these plans with these names because that will help us with the push for registration. And also do not change the preferred. Your fall plan should remain preferred. Do not change it to the FYS plan in order to make the algorithm work for the push. So you're going to need to make 2 plans. One plan will be your FYS, and we're going to start with that. When you come in and it's blank, you click on the Edit button, and you can search by subject. So for your FYS plan, that's your first year seminar, you're just going to want to look for FYS classes. So you can type FYS or first or do a drop down to get all of the FYS classes, and then click Search. You'll see that it just brings up the generic first year seminar. We have a variety of different topics. There's 57 total sections of FYS. So you're going to want to see the specific topics that are of interest to you. So when you click View Sections, You will see all of the sections that are actually being offered for the fall. You can see the meeting times and days, the instructors, and you can see at this point, if you look there, it will say there are 0 seats remaining because in our live system, we have not updated the seats, but there will be seats available. So you don't need to worry about the 0 seats. You can put classes on your plan that have 0 seats. And you can just scroll through and see what is of interest to you. You'll notice that some classes have Endeavor course in the attribute field. If it says Endeavor, it is reserved only for Endeavor students in the Endeavor program. So if you're not in that specific Endeavor program, don't put that one on your list because you will not get it. You also might see other attributes like philosophy elective. So this particular FYS, because it's taught by a philosophy professor, can count towards the philosophy major or minor if you go that route. You don't have to take anything that counts towards your major or minor, but just a note, if you see those kind of attributes as well, you can do that. So I've got 4 classes on my FYS plan, but you need to put 20 classes on your FYS plan. Almost everybody gets a class in their top 10, and they almost all get a class in the top 5, but we just need to have options here. So please put as many as possible on here. And there are some classes that have 2 sections. You're welcome to put 2 of the same class on 2 different sections on your plan. That's fine as well. So you can go through, and when you see something you'd like to take, you click the Add button on the far right column. And you'll see that that is marked as pending. I have saved these other 4 classes before, but the new classes, until I submit, are going to be marked as pending. But I like, say, Monday, Wednesday classes more than Tuesday, Thursday. So I'm going to put some Monday, Wednesday classes on my plan. And again, sorry, my page just went blank. There we go. You'll see you can scroll through to different pages to see what all is out there. So here's another Monday, Wednesday. I'll try that. And maybe a Wednesday, Friday. Oh, nope, that's an Endeavor and I'm not an Endeavor. So I'll try this Monday, Wednesday. So I've got a good number added to my plan. It's not 20, but you can search for 20. And when I'm ready, I will save my plan just by clicking Save Plan in the bottom right corner. So now I have all these classes in my plan on the left side of the screen. I can see where they are time-wise. If I'm interested, in just taking a Monday, Wednesday, or something like that, I can see where things are falling. The other step that you're going to want to do with your plan is to rank the classes. To let us know your choice 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of that. And to do that, after you've submitted the plan, you'll see the little notes. And if it has a green check, it means you've already put a number by it. And if it has the plus sign, you need to click on that, go in the note, and then enter the rank you want for that class. It should be a number between 1 and 7, between 1 and 20, and only the number, no symbols, no words, no further explanation, just a number. And save. And you'll want to do that for each of your classes to give them a rank and so forth, and just keep saving. So once you have put the classes in your plan and given them a rank on the little note, you're done with this section. You can keep coming in and changing it. You can drop these classes. You can change the rankings around. You can do all of that until June 30th. And there is no advantage to getting a plan in sooner rather than later. So please take your time. Just make sure to get it submitted by the 30th. When I'm done with my FYS plan, I'm going to want to go back and work on my fall plan. And this is going to be my non-FYS class. So to do that, I'm going to click Edit. And I can search by subject. You'll see a drop-down list of the subjects that you can search for. But say I know that I want to take a history class. I can just start typing history and it brings up anything with history in the subject. And then I can do a search. Note that when you do the search, this brings up anything from the catalog that is an active class. It's not necessarily classes that are going to be offered in the fall of 2024. So to make sure a class is being offered in fall of 2024, you want to click on View Sections. And then I can see the sections of History 199 that are going to be offered in fall of 2024. I can also see what requirements they meet. And if I'm interested in Tokyo trials, I can just click Add, and it will add that to my plan. If I want to go back and see other history classes, I can hit the back button, and maybe I'm interested in 20th century cases, but there is no section listed, so that means it's not being offered in fall of 2024, and you will want to choose a different class. If I don't know exactly what subject I want to take, but I know I want to take some kind of general education requirement, which we call our areas of inquiry and integrated focus areas, I can also search by attribute by going to Advanced Search, scrolling down, and in the attribute field, all of our area of inquiry attributes start with AI. So I can say, I pull them up by just typing AI and say I want to take a natural science class. If I click that and search, I haven't entered any subjects in, but this brings up all of the classes that have been approved to meet the area of inquiry natural science requirement. And again, I'm going to want to check on View Sections to see which specific sections are being offered this fall. Now, Biology 120 is a non-majors bio class. And say I want to take my science. I don't particularly care which one of the 120s I take. I could go and just add course, and it would put Biology 120 in my plan and would randomly give me any of the Biology 120s if that's one of my top choices. But if you want to take a specific section, please go and pick a section by title to add to your plan. And I can add 3 of them to my plan. You can add multiple of the same class meeting at different times to your plan. That's not a problem. And once I'm done, I will click Save Plan again. And now they are in my plan status. And again, here, you're going to want to rank your classes by clicking on the note and entering an ordinal number, just the number, no words, nothing additional. And go down the line like that and save after each time. And again, the check mark will appear once I have a ranking by it. I know once you get up to numbers 18, 19, 20, you might forget where you are, so you can tell which ones are left to be ranked. Okay, and I can go back to my search results and see if I want to add anything else. This includes for science, the chemistry, physics would be in here as well. If I'm ready to start my search over, I just click on search again, and I can go back and search by attribute again, or I can search by subject if I know what subject I want to take. I recommend limiting it to either attribute or subject and not trying to get into the weeds with times and things like that, because that'll make it easier for us to get you the 2 classes that you want to take. But it is important to rank them on each of your plans. Once I have added all the classes I want to my plan, I can go back to select the plan and I can see what I have. Now, when we do the push, it's only going to pick 1 class from your fall plan and 1 class from your FYS plan. So you're not going to end up with multiple of the same classes. And note that you are required to take 1 FYS in the fall of your first year here. So you will have to do an FYS plan. And then the rest of your schedule will be made up of other classes, introductory classes, elective classes, other general education classes, and things like that. So one thing I wanted to note is that when you are searching for classes, you can get additional information about a class. Go in here by clicking on the title of the class. I can see information about it, I can see the course description here. The course description, of course, is also in the catalog at catalog.richmond.edu. I can see the attributes of what requirements it might meet. I can see prerequisites if it has any. So you'll want to check that because as first-year students, you won't have the prerequisites for most of the upper level classes. So you'll want to check that. I can also see restrictions if it's has departmental approval or if it's restricted to, say, Endeavor students or something like that, that will show up in the restrictions. So you can check all of that information here as well. And then when you're done, you can let your plan be, and we will do the work for you to get you 2 classes, or if you're an NCAA athlete or designated scholar, we'll get you 4 classes in a wellness. A couple of notes about making your schedule. We do have a list of classes on the New Spiders site that are recommended classes for first-year students. They're lower level classes that don't have prerequisites and for which you're eligible to register. There are some classes like law school classes or MBA classes that you're not eligible for, and upper level business classes as well. So you might want to check on the New Spiders site to see the classes that we recommend for first year students. There's also lists of classes there that are recommended first classes in a major. So if you think you know what you might want to major in, you can check that to kind of take an introductory class in that possible major and see if that's of interest to you. The New Spider site is a wealth of information about all sorts of things. It has other videos, information on making your plans, and resource contacts. So if you have questions about what to put on your plan, your PA, your peer advisor, should be in touch, and or your navigator if you're an Endeavor, to help walk you through this first part of the process. Our academic advising resource team is also available to talk you through advising kind of questions and sequencing. But the New Spiders site does have a lot of information and answers to questions, such as if you're looking to take a language and you've started in high school, it helps you with language placement ideas and things like that. So you, if you haven't seen the New Spiders site already, I definitely recommend doing that. It also has a checklist on what's due when, so that would be a good place to start. A couple of other notes: if you think you're going to get AP or IB or advanced standing credit for a class, please don't put that on your plan. You can check the credit by exam policy to see what scores get what kind of credit, so you'll know what you might already have, so you don't register and repeat the same class. We do generally get the AP scores the week of July 4th sometime, and we'll start putting those on record so that we won't register you for something you already have. But just if you can avoid putting that on your plan, if you know you have a qualifying score and you've sent that to us, that would be great. And yeah, also on the registrar's office website, we have information on Banner Web, including a guide, a step-by-step guide with screenshots on how to make plans as well. And like I say, this will be recorded, and Dr. Maurantonio and Ms. Vest did a webinar last week about the basics of making plan that's available on the New Spiders YouTube channel. So definitely refer to that as well. So that's a quick overview of how to do Banner Web planning. Happy to answer any questions, Eric, if there's anything that you want me to call out.
Yeah, we have a couple that would be good to call out. So the first one is, how do first year seminars impact our majors?
So if your first year seminars generally don't impact your major, there are a few departments that if it's taught by somebody in that major, it can count, like the philosophy that you saw. And sometimes an education and society can count towards that minor. But for the most part, they don't count towards majors or minors. But they are a required class that every first year must complete in the fall of their first semester.
Thank you. And then can you respond back to about the Endeavor students, for those who either maybe have an FYS as a part of their Endeavor or may need to add the FYS to their plan?
Okay, so if you're in one of the FYS endeavors, you don't need to make an FYS plan. You just need to complete the fall plan of your planning. If you were in an endeavor that is something else, like the business endeavor, or one of the other ones that has a non-FYS, then you don't need to complete the fall plan, but you do need to complete an FYS plan. And you'll end up with 2 classes, or in the case of the business endeavor, 3 classes. But just complete the plan for whichever one is not your endeavor.
Yes, and then another question, are 2 additional classes the limit for fall term?
No, so we recommend first-year students take 4 to 4.5 units in their first semester, just because it is a big transition, and we want to make sure everybody gets on a good footing starting out and gets used to the workload. You can take, during this registration period, through the beginning of school, you can register for up to 4.5 units. Then once school starts, you can go up to 5.5 units, but 5.5 is the maximum number of units. But do note that it requires 35 units to graduate from the university. And that means that for 5 of your semesters, you would take 4 units, and then 3, you would take 5 units, assuming you don't transfer anything in. So 4 is a very normal load.
This is a good question. They're working on completing their plan ahead, but they have the pop-up box that says consent and release form. Is that something that they should do?
Yes, go ahead and do the consent and release form if you get that pop up. And there's, I believe there's 2. One is the consent saying that you'll pay the tuition bill for the classes for which you register. And you only have to do that once at the beginning of each semester.
And then, will we fill out the rest of our fall schedule, or will it be done for us based on what we're interested in?
So you will fill out the rest of your fall schedule. In mid-July, we will be pushing these plans to get you one thing from your fall preference and one thing from your FYS preference. Those will become viewable to you. What we register you for will become viewable to you on July 22nd. And after that time, you'll meet with your summer advisor, who's a faculty or staff member, who will go through that with you and help you flesh out the rest of your schedule. Then starting on August 7th at 9 a.m., and it's important to be on right at 9 a.m. on the 7th, you will be filling out the rest of your schedule yourself, registering online, just like you'll be doing for the rest of your time here after this first registration. But this is the only registration where we pre-populate 2 classes for you based on your preferences.
Student has a question about, can we meet with my advisor this week because they will be out of the country soon? So maybe a question for Andrea or Nicole.
That's a great question. Probably not, but you're welcome to reach out to me in the advising office. Just email advising@richmond.edu. I'd love to know what your away dates are so that we can make a note of them in our records. And if you have no internet access while you're gone, for either pre-registration or self-registration, we can work around that.
When do we know who our academic advisors are?
You'll know who your summer advisor is right before July 22nd. So your peer advisor is going to email the name of your summer advisor early to mid-July. And then your undeclared advisor, your academic advisor, the person that you'll work with going forward before each registration cycle, you'll get information on that person's name closer to move-in and orientation.
What is the date that self-registration opens?
It is August 7th at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And if you are not available at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the 7th, please contact ARC or the registrar's office, and we will help talk you through your options for that to make sure that you have access to classes. And my office our email is just registrar@richmond.edu. Anything else?
No, we've answered those questions already.
And please know that both of our offices are open during the summer and available, and are happy to take calls and emails to help you through this process.
Erica, I see one I can answer here.
Yeah.
A question about a class or seminar for training for the Excel competency exam. There are some sections of software tools. I believe it is BUAD 203.
Mhm.
I don't know what seat availability is in that particular class. That might be something to try for in the spring. It is not required to prep for that course, though it is helpful. More information on prepping for the Excel exam can be found on the business website.
Can I just put a plug in, sorry, that you don't have to take classes for your major starting in your first semester. You can't even declare a major until the beginning of your sophomore year. So please use this time to explore classes and interests that you might have, work on finding your passion, get a few gen eds out of the way, maybe try an intro class, but don't feel like every class that you take in the fall of your first year has to meet a major requirement or a gen ed requirement. You have plenty of room in your schedule for general electives, and this is a good time to take some of those. So, or to take some advising time from my advising friends, but I just like to put that plug out there.
Good advice.
I appreciate it.
Other questions, things we can help with tonight?
For clarification, one class can give you more than one gen ed credit, right?
No. One class, so we have two groups of gen ed. There's the areas of inquiry and the integrated focus areas. A single class can either meet an area of inquiry, or it can meet an area of inquiry and an integrated focus area, or it can meet two integrated focus areas, but it cannot meet two areas of inquiry. And I think, I knew in last week's webinar, there was an explanation of the general education curriculum, and I'm sure on New Spiders, there's also an explanation of it.
I'll just jump in and clarify that a course won't receive more than one unit of credit, but it can, as Kristen mentioned, fulfill more than one requirement simultaneously.
So there will be a registration, one of these. I'll plug mine. I'm sure Andrea and Nicole can plug their Zooms. But in July, ahead of open registration, or maybe it's the beginning of August, but it's on the New Spiders site about how to register once the self-registration time comes. But there's other informative and interesting Zooms between now and then as well.
I don't see any other questions. Oh, wait. Spoke too soon.
FYS that needs to complete. So the question is it titled FYS that I need to complete? I'm
So
not
the
sure.
subject code, oh, sorry,
No,
Erica.
go ahead.
The subject code will be FYS and the course number will be 100. They're all FYS 100, but the titles vary by section. But when you search in the subject block of the browse classes, you'll search for FYS or first year seminar.
And if you're referencing the plans, when you log into Banner Plan Ahead, you should see two options. You should see a fall and you should see an FYS that you will edit.
The other,
Yes, that is correct. It's okay. I'll respond to this person.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Here's a specific question about the business endeavor. So if you're involved in the business endeavor, you will only be making the FYS plan. There are no first year seminars associated with that particular community. So you are not going to complete the fall plan. You are only going to complete the FYS plan.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. And if you have any further questions, again, feel free to be in touch with our offices. Ms. Vest has put our emails in the chat, and we're happy to respond.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.